Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Unity Radiant Light. It is Sunday, October 23rd. I'm Reverend Cherie Ruffo, and we're going to be concluding our prosperity series today with a talk, Fully Human or Fully Divine. We began this journey. This is the fourth talk in the series. We began the journey, though, with talking about prosperity is our inheritance. We don't need to convince God that we should be prosperous because we're already born that way. We already have that. And with this prosperity teachings, we decided to go a little deeper than we normally, pulling back some of the other layers. So the second talk was about the language of oneness. And we're born into a culture of really a language of separation. So we looked at what we need to do to change that to a language of oneness and how important that is for prosperity to seeing prosperity in our lives. And the third week, we talked about activating this prosperity in our lives. How do we shift our consciousness to do that? Bring our vibration into alignment with this truths. And today we're talking about the age-old topic, something that has been talked about for eons. Are fully human or fully divine? And this was really a question asked a lot in the early church about Jesus. Was Jesus fully human or was he fully divine? And we talked about this in the Gnostic scriptures. When we did the series on the Gnostic scriptures, we looked at this question too about Jesus. But what about us? Are we fully human? Are we fully divine? What is that truth? If we look back to Jesus, because we looked to him for answers, what was that experience Jesus was having? Well, in the first couple hundred years of the Christian movement, everybody's like, well, he's fully divine. He had to have that. But do we really know that? This is one of my favorite pictures. Was he having that fully divine experience from the moment Mary gave birth to him? Or was he having a human experience too? And we know from the stories in the scriptures and, the Gospels, we saw Jesus having a human experience as well as a divine experience. So there's really no question. He was showing us this map, that we can be both. But how do we do that? We're going to delve a little bit deeper into that today. And to do that, we must put on our metaphysics goggles. We have to put them on. We're going to discuss it. Don't panic if there's some topics, if you want to go deeper, it's great. Joe has some great classes on metaphysics, but I'm going to try to keep it light and have us look at some of these principles, metaphysical principles that should help us get to the root of the answer, find this answer. And the first one that we really have to consider is, yes, we follow unity teachings, and unity does have a trinity. And that trinity is spirit, soul, and body. So when we look at this, what is the spirit? The spirit is the great I am. That's the higher self that we talk about. That's the part that we believe, most of us believe, is not here with us, that it's on the other side. Well, how does that happen if we don't believe in separation? We're going to get to that too. And then soul is the vehicle that we come here in. The soul keeps track of our lifetimes and all the experiences that we have. Also, with that comes an ego, because in order to be in this realm, to have this human experience, we all have an ego. And a lot of people think we need to banish that ego. We can't, because we need it to be here, but we can think differently with it. And the soul is what creates the body, this body that we have, that is the vehicle that we're here with, that we show up, that we express with. So that is our trinity. And it kind of helps us see how we made this journey to come here. But our other one that we look at, and this is for the law of attraction, and our other one is mind, idea, expression. And we've talked about this before. The mind, you see the capital M, the mind is really with the spirit in the realm of God, the divine. And through that, an idea comes to us and we express it here in this realm. How does that work? Well, in order for us to really see how that works, understand it, we have to understand a couple things. Yes, we're born into duality. And for duality with us, it means that we do have opposites of things. And for this, when we look at that, we think about the realms that we exist in. So we have something called the absolute realm. And that is the realm that nothing ever changes. You'll see nothing, it always stays the same. This is the eternal truths. This is something that will not shift or evolve because it is true. It just is. And nothing needs to shift with it. But when we travel into the body, the soul comes here to the body, we enter the relative realm. And this is the realm where things happen. This is the realm where we can express who we are. And this is what we talk about every week. What is the quality of that expression? We're having this experience in this realm. What are we going to have? What's the quality of that expression going to be? So when we look at mind, idea, expression, an idea will happen in the mind. And that idea, the mind will have the idea. The idea comes here with us, but the mind cannot express it in the absolute realm. Nothing ever changes, right? So in order for it to be expressed, for us to see it, it comes into the relative realm. And I always like to use this idea because, so the mind, this divine mind, has an idea for a table. And that idea then becomes a divine idea that comes into our existence in the relative realm, right? It's when we get into the relative realm, we can build that table. The mind, there's the table that comes into the idea, divine idea, that happens with the soul level, and then we express it. It is the body that builds it, right? You see how that works? So there's something going on here, that there's this connection. It doesn't mean that we're separate. It may happen in different realms, but it doesn't mean that the connection is ever broken. And I really love how Abraham Hicks ties this together by saying the fun is in the molding of energies. It's in the dreaming of what could be. It's in the tuning yourself into the alignment of your dreams. So that's what we're doing, this divine, this absolute divine mind. The idea happens, and the divine idea comes in, and we express it. So we are aligning ourselves to this. Now, because we live in duality, we have a choice. What are we going to align ourselves to? And that's where we start to get into the interesting part, because we do have a choice. We have free will. And how are we aligning ourselves with these ideas that are coming in? Are they divine ideas from love? There's only one other thing that it can be, is fear. Are we aligning ourselves with fear? And for us who are experiencing this realm, we know that a lot of times we see things aligned with fear. So the question we have to ask ourselves today, if we're not fully awake, and I know most of us aren't, I believe that when we're completely fully awake, we probably won't be here, is do we want to get caught in these past ideas with fear? A lot of those ideas that we see. Or do we want to place our focus on the wonder of the present, the truth, the divinity in things? That's where we have that choice. Like Abraham Hicks says, it's fine, right? Because we know in the divine part is joy. So what wonders are in your life today? And what wonders will you miss if you keep your focus on the past ideas? There's wonder all around us. Well, what are you missing? What are we missing? If we can understand that to be in this wonderment in the moment, it's going to change our lives to lives of wonder and greatness. And this wonderment begins with the question, are we fully human or divine? Let's just breathe in on that. It's a big question. And it's okay to ask it. So we have to alter our beliefs before we can answer that question fully, to embrace this concept of divinity. Otherwise, we're going to be stuck in these lower frequencies. Abraham Hicks is talking about our alignment. Well, to change that, We have to change our frequency. We have to change our ideas, right? They have to shift. And the truth is, there's only one truth, is that we are one with God. And we're going to end up one with God. That is never going to change. We may have other ideas about it, illusions about it, but that's the truth. We are one with God. And we may believe in separation and all of those other ideas. But as we shift that and we can move that alignment back to that oneness, that divinity, you're going to open your life to amazing things. Because it's really not that hard, because it's your natural state. The truth is this, and this is your natural state. You are one with God. Take a breath in on that. Because God is one. And we may be here, but we're all going home together in this oneness. No one's going to hell. No one's going to purgatory or any other ideas that we may have come up with. Because we're from oneness. This is how it works. So when we awaken to this, and some people may wait till after they leave, but when we awaken here, and that's the choice we have today, to awaken to this divinity, is we open ourselves up to a higher vibration. This super consciousness that we're about to talk about is in the quantum field. That's the absolute realm. We can open ourselves up to heaven on earth while we're here. Jesus talked about that. So let's explore that a little more. The great I am is also called the superconscious. It's the realm of consciousness which our spiritual nature resides. This is the realm of the higher self, the Christ self, the Buddha self, or God self, or whatever other definition there is. And what happens in this realm often is we repress this powerful, beautiful side of us, this divinity. And we believe it resides somewhere else outside of us. It's not us, because a lot of us believe that we're born in sin. So this super consciousness, as we explore it, we open ourselves up to it. It allows us to become more divine. It becomes the overlay, conscious overlay. It's never not the overlay, but it becomes the conscious overlay in our lives. So a surprising number of our physical experiences, including illness, they're created by thoughts and feelings, but they're in the conscious state. But what happens when we can shift that to the superconscious state? So that means we need to look at this. What is this conscious? What is in part of this body that I'm having, this experience that I'm having? Well, if we look at this, the conscious state's only 10%. Subconscious is 50 to 60%. And the unconscious is 30, 40%, which is kind of like an iceberg, right? Only a small portion of our mind is open to us that we know that we're aware of. And the great majority is hidden below the surface. So that means that we live a lot of our life responding to unconscious things, right? But how do we change that? If we're living in this unconscious state and we have things that we believe in separation, we believe that we were born in sin, we believe that whatever that is to define us, how do we change that? Well, forgiveness heals. But if you know me, and a lot of you do, is that, there is really no such thing as forgiveness, because if we live completely aligned with the superconscious state, there is nothing to forgive, right? But because we may be more aligned with the subconscious, with these things that our belief systems that might be in our subconscious, that we're born in sin, dirty, whatever, we're not good, we're not worthy, whatever those are, we're going to have to make that shift out of that. So then we're going to need that forgiveness. And forgiveness heals, because we can start with, which is really important, self-forgiveness. We can start with, I forgive myself for believing that I am less than. I forgive myself, or the people that we believe that are separate from us, that have hurt us, and we need to forgive them. So until we have a full version, a full belief system that shows that forgiveness in this oneness is we're forgiving ourselves because we're all one, right? Then we use forgiveness. I'm so sorry that I believed this about myself. I'm so sorry I believed about that person. But this is one thing that we can work with that can help lighten up some of the unconscious beliefs. Another thing is self-love, because in order to be fully awake and understand our divinity, we have to know who and what we are. We have to love ourselves. And this is so important. When we love ourselves, it's not about standing in front of the mirror and admiring ourselves as much. You can do that, and that's fine. That's great. But it's about really understanding who and what you are and loving yourselves. If you love God, as we do, we love ourselves because we are one with that. We are divinity. And that can be a really hard concept in self-love, especially if you've grown up in a situation where you were judged harshly, where you had the belief systems that you weren't worthy. Then that's where we really need to start, is to looking at ourselves. We're doing in in the spring or winter, we're going to be teaching a class. I will be on the shadow self. And that's where we go in and we delve deep and we start to pull back the layers on what's in our shadow. What is this belief system that we have? What is this part of us that we might believe is dirty? That we need to open up to light and understand that we are divine. No one can teach you this. Can help you. I can, present ideas. But to make this journey, you have to make it yourself. No one can do it for you. No religion, I don't care what they say they are, can do this for you. This is your journey. And it's a beautiful journey because look what gets revealed. This amazing super consciousness that's you and me and everyone. Nobody got left out. There's not some people that have it that don't. That's just this human belief system with this laws that we live under of fear. And it's really ridiculous when you think about it, because God is love and God would never. God is love. It's a principle. Nobody would ever get left out. So it takes us back to our, first lesson, that prosperity is our inheritance. The divinity is our inheritance. This is who and what we are. And as we awaken to that, things happen. Myrtle Fillmore, the co-founder of Unity, when she awoke to this truth, she was told she had a few months to live. And she said, you know what? I understand this truth now, that as a child of God, and you could put anything in there, spark, aspect, whatever it is you want, expression, I did not inherit illness. As an expression of God, I did not inherit scarcity. We can put anything we want in there. And it brings us, that awareness brings us back into alignment. So how? Our thoughts, our feelings are so important, because that's what's in that bottom of that iceberg that we saw earlier. It's all these feelings that we have that lead to beliefs, and then our actions shift. And what we see and what we've seen so far is an outpicturing of that belief system. But when we can shift this, we're going to see a different outpicturing of that system. We can see our health shift. We can see the ideas of scarcity. We'll see more abundance. All of these things shift because we understand what's true and what's not. Now, this is what we see in our lives, yes, is an outpicturing. It's something how we can measure that. So if you have an illness or you have some scarcity going on, whatever it is, don't blame yourself. Don't get into that where you're going to need self-forgiveness for that. Just understand, okay, this is my body, or this is my life is showing me kind of where I am in the system. So I'm going to make these shifts and changes. And sometimes our life contract, our journey might include an illness. It might include going through scarcity so you can meet certain people, whatever it is. But we approach it with love, and we approach it with the idea that Prosperity is my inheritance. Yes, I need to change to the language of oneness. I can open this up with my consciousness because I am fully divine, having a fully human experience. Let's breathe in on that. I am fully divine, having a fully human experience. So this is what it means if we are believing in fear, if we've been living more in that state, and when you turn on the TV and the news and everything else, that's a lot of what we see, right? We see the fighting, we see all of that. But we can pull back those layers. We can see the love, see where we come from, who and what we are. And that person that may have a different belief system or be a little bit different, they're just us having a different experience. And it's an expression of God. We can move to love. You know, and that means just shifting our ideas. We're not going to go to hell if we change our ideas. We can create hell on earth by our ideas, by our belief system, by living in fear. Or we can move to love. We can move to what Jesus came here to teach us, that we can be fully divine, having a fully human experience. I'd invite you, as we complete this prosperity series for this year, to plug into the ideas, to open yourself up, open your consciousness to this. That this super consciousness can be that main overlay in your life. And when we do that, you're going to have so much light. And we want to have that much light that people are going to need sunglasses when they look at you, because you're shining with that light of God. And what's not to love? You're here. You're this expression. You're beautiful. You're amazing. So as we shift this, our ideas that we're separate from God, we add to that, we're having this, we understand that we are amazing expressions. Then we can live as this fully divine being and have this amazing, fully human experience. We awaken to this truth. This super consciousness is our overlay. And we can have this amazing life. And as we do this together, we awaken the world. We make the world a better place. We're going to see that pictured out. We talk about the good news group and we want to talk about the good news in the world, because that is that overlay is leading to the creation of it. The creation of this overlay of our super consciousness in the world, of us being love in the world. It's here, guys. It's not something we're waiting for. And as we come to the close of this talk, we're going to remember some things like whatever we plant in our subconscious mind, nourished with repetition and emotion, will one day become a reality. We're done with that, right? The overlay we're talking about is the super consciousness. So what do we want to relate with? The super conscious mind is soul, divinity, source, love. It's the authentic you. Why would we want to be anything else? And I'm closing with 3 scriptures. Then we can understand them a little bit better, understanding this super consciousness and who and what we are. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He who believes in me will live, even though he dies, yet shall he live, because we're eternal beings. We can never be less, no matter what our beliefs is, we can never be less than that. And the Word became flesh and dwelt among us. And we beheld his glory, the glory of the only begotten of the Father, full of grace and truth. You are the only begotten of Spirit, God, whatever you want to call the God source. And you are full of grace and truth. Let's breathe in on that. You're so much more than you probably believed. And Paramahansa Yogananda says, I'm no longer the wave of consciousness thinking itself separated from the sea of cosmic consciousness. I am the ocean of spirit that has become the wave of human life. So we're not a drop in the sea. We are that sea. We are that. That is our super consciousness. So we began this lesson today with Jesse reading the daily word about prosperity. So the affirmation for today with the daily word is, with God as my source, I live abundantly. I would like to change that and add, because I am awake to the truth that I am fully divine while having this fully human experience, I can live abundantly. This is the fourth principle that we're talking about this year. I am fully divine while having a fully human experience, and I'm loving it. I'm so glad you're on this journey with me. I love you all. And I look forward to our continued exploration and our journey in this oneness together. Namaskar. So I invite you this morning to join me with the meditation as we open our hearts and our minds more fully to these ideas about the super consciousness, about us being fully divine. So our meditation affirmation is, I am open and receptive to the spirit of truth, healing in me what needs to be healed and revealing to me what needs to be revealed. And our affirmation, as we close our outer eyes, if we're comfortable with that, our affirmation is, I am as God created me. I am the Christ consciousness. I am as God created me. I am the Christ consciousness. I am as God created me. I am the Christ consciousness. So I am holy. Please take a few centering breaths on that. I am holy, holy, holy. Setting aside all other ideas of who or of what I might have thought I was. Tuning into this concept of being fully divine and fully human at the same time. So we rest into this knowledge and breathe. This is the truth. You are fully divine. You are having a fully human experience. When I say that, what are you feeling? What rises to the surface? Just I invite you to experience this, even if you're feeling some resistance to these words. Just breathe into it. It's okay. We have to set our intention. Are you willing to be open to more truth? Do you feel that in your heart? You're feeling resistance, just to let it gently float away. Set your intention to be open to more truth. Are you willing to open your vibration more so your super consciousness can become this overlay? Instead of us having 90% of us in the subconscious and unconscious, we allow this overlay of the super consciousness, this truth, to shine in our lives. We may have the belief that we're separate from it, but we can never be. We are not. We are one. So we take a deep breath into this truth. We are one. So we invite more of the super consciousness into our experience. So we breathe into it, we may feel the joy as we open up to this and the peace. What is our inheritance? And if you need to, forgive yourself, forgive others. If we believe in that, that's what needs to happen. Do it. It's part of our human experience right now. You can say, I'm sorry, please forgive me. And let these things that bother you gently drift off. And as we open ourselves up to our super consciousness, can say that thank you for trusting me. And I'm setting my intent to be fully joined if we have a belief in separation. If we don't, just rest in it. There's no right or wrongs here. You are where you are, and it's perfect. All is in perfect and divine order. So if you're feeling like there's a separation, just join it. Allow that super consciousness to become more. As we awaken more and we sit in the silence, we just allow these to happen to us in the silence. Oh, beautiful awakened souls. I invite you to breathe in on that. As we awaken, we understand that you, I, and the solution, not the problem. So we rest in that knowledge. I am fully divine, having this fully human experience. I am fully divine, having this fully human experience. I am fully divine, having this fully human experience. I am, God is. I am the fully awakened Christ consciousness. I am the light. I am the love. I am the presence. I am. Amen.